we got a question on that from Rahul. So thanks for that question, Rahul. But yeah, I mean, the way that it's typically done is that because correlations and covariances change through time, you're observing the covariances locally, because typically what we've observed most recently ends up being the best estimate of what we should expect in the recent future. So if you're rebalancing monthly or even quarterly, typically these regimes last for a little while. And so you want to be observing the covariances over the past, if you want a relatively fast moving model over the last 60 days, or you can use some sort of exponentially weighted covariance estimation. But even if you're estimating over rolling windows, if you've got monthly data, we've just really done some analysis using very long-term monthly data and rolling over a 36-month horizon. Even that can be very effective, right? And some combination can be even more effective, because you get different mean reverting and running dynamics at different time horizons. Actually, which reminds me of another point that I wanted to make, which is when you think about managed futures. So managed futures allocates across all these diverse markets, right? Clearly they're allocating across all these financials, these bonds and equity markets and all these commodities. Typically, it is historically for most managed futures programs, they like to keep it simple. Right. You talk to a managed futures manager, CTA, they hate covariances. They don't want to talk about correlations. Correlations are unstable, blah, 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 right? But they give up a lot from that, right? If you acknowledge that yes, covariances are unstable, therefore you need to use shrinkage and you need to use robust estimation methods, you can still generate an enormous number of bets out of sample. And we show a chart of the true out of sample number of bets that you can generate from this diverse futures portfolio. But if you think about a managed futures manager, it actually, if you recognize the benefit of having all of these bets in the portfolio, then you want to actually make it more difficult to not have a market in the portfolio on. Right? Like if all the markets were perfectly correlated, then there's no benefit to having more markets on at the moment, right?
Precisely.
But if you're acknowledging the diversity in the investment universe, then you want to make it harder for example, a market may have a slight negative expected return based on your trend model. But if it's sufficiently uncorrelated with the balance of the portfolio, it may still generate create a portfolio with a higher Sharpe ratio and continue to harvest this rebalancing premium.
The gestalt is what's missed when it comes to CTAs, right? Because a lot of CTAs come from the old school chartists, right? They're looking at an asset classes and asset classes. It's not like momentum where you're trying to do rank best to worst. You're actually, every single asset class is its own thing, and you're either above trend or below trend. You're going long or you're going short. So what happens in a situation where the only thing above the trend is 100%, like a bunch of equities, and everything else is kind of hovering in your equity line, and you're not neither short nor long? Well, you have all of your risk there, and you have no risk in anything else, right? That is a highly concentrated single bet. You don't have 10 different equity markets you're betting. You have one bet on growth. And if you do have anything that's balancing it off, and you take into account the correlation between those two, what ends up happening is if you're a CTA that cares about balance as well as that direction, you give yourself an opportunity to increase the Sharpe ratio in spite of that negative returning asset class that you think may not be there. And we've done this analysis on trend, how by doing this, by thinking about risk parity plus trend, just by thinking about the balance side, you can increase Sharpe ratio by as much as 50%.